For those of you who are kind of viewing this on YouTube, you can always kind of view other webinars that we have posted in the past too. But I'll go ahead and get started with this one. So good afternoon, welcome. Thank you for joining. So if you're here, you or your student has probably made the decision to attend college. You've submitted your FAFSA, viewed your financial aid offer, and now maybe you've accepted your federal loans on Access Plus, and you're ready to check off those last requirements so your federal loans will apply to your U-bill. So today we'll be reviewing the federal loan entrance counseling and master promissory note steps that are required to be completed by students before their federal loans can be released. So my name is Andrea Dahl. I'm a financial aid advisor here at Iowa State. We'll go ahead and get started. If you do have any questions, if you are joining the live video, feel free to kind of type your questions in the chat below, and then I'll go through and answer them at the end. So we will go ahead and get started. Okay, let's go ahead and start with entrance counseling. So this is the online counseling that helps you understand what your rights and responsibilities are as a student loan borrower. So it's important to understand that you are borrowing a loan from the government that must be paid back with interest. So to start this counseling, you will need to go to the federal student aid site, which is just studentaid.gov, the same site where you submitted your FAFSA. So this is kind of what it looks like once you are there. Once you are there, the student will need to first log in with their FSA ID, which again is the username and password they created to submit their FAFSA. So if you haven't logged in a while, it may have you change your password, so be prepared to update your information if necessary. Once you are logged in, you can go to the top of the page, just the bar at the top that says Complete Aid Process. Under that, you can select Complete Entrance Counseling to begin. So this is what it'll bring you to next. Once you're there, you'll see two options that you can select to begin the counseling. So if you're an incoming freshman, you'll want to select the first one, I'm an undergraduate student, and press Start to the right of that. The next two pages will show you an overview of what you'll be learning and the 6 modules that you'll need to complete. So after completing these modules, you will learn how interest accrues. You'll go over an estimate of how much you're going to owe at the end, and also explain different types of repayment options that are available. So after completing each section, you will need to answer a couple knowledge check questions just to review your understanding, to make sure you are reading carefully and understanding all of the information. So the first module, you will learn about key terms like cost of attendance, direct and indirect costs. So for direct costs, those are what's going to be charged to your U-bill, like tuition fees. Indirect costs are those other expenses you'll have to pay for, like books and supplies if you don't charge it from the university bookstore to your U-bill. Also off-campus housing and meals if you're living off campus. The Paying for Education module discusses sources of aid that you don't have to repay, like grants and scholarships, federal work study, and the tuition payment plans. And it just defines basic loan terms like principal and interest. You'll also learn about how federal student loans differ from private education loans. So again, there will be a couple of knowledge check questions to answer at the end of each module before you will be able to move on to the next section. The federal student loans module is the next section, which will help you understand the different types of federal direct student loans, which are subsidized and unsubsidized. It'll go over what the current interest rates and origination fees are and when payments are required, when they'll begin. Also in this module, you will learn what the maximum amount of loans you can borrow is, the federal student loan process from the first step of submitting your FAFSA to finally receiving your loan money, and how you will receive the funds. And the module will end with who you should contact if you do need help along the way in your student loan journey. So next you'll learn about how much you can expect to borrow. So in this section, you will estimate your annual and total student loan debt, which will help you understand the difference between the amount you're offered and the amount you will actually need. So you should only accept the loan money you need to prevent overborrowing. Remember, interest will accrue on these loans. For subsidized, they won't start accruing until after you graduate or stop attending, but they will eventually start to accrue interest So the less you take out, the less interest you will have to pay. There are ways to save, so if you're able to pay interest as it accrues, you could end up having lower monthly payments when you're required to make your payments and then pay less overall. You also learn about how important it is to pay interest while in school because any interest that isn't paid by the end of your grace period after graduation will be combined with the principal amount, and you will be charged interest on top of that new principal balance. So that's called interest capitalization. You'll learn about that during this counseling. So make sure you are reading and understanding the topics in each module. The next section is preparing for a repayment after school. So you'll learn about how you will make payments, who you will make your payments to. So if you will be assigned a loan servicer, you'll have to set up an account on their website to view your loan balance, make payments. Also, any interest that you do pay on your loans can be deducted from your taxes. So your servicer will have that tax document for you each year too. A couple loan servicers are Mohila, Fed Loan Servicing, and Aidvantage. You'll also go over the two categories of repayment plans, which are traditional and income-driven plans. So you can read about the different types under those two categories and think about which repayment plan might be the right one for you. So remember, you must repay your loans even if you don't complete your program or aren't able to obtain employment in your field of study upon graduation. The last module of your entrance counseling explains the consequences of not repaying student loans. So if you miss payments, you would be considered delinquent. And if you don't resolve the delinquency, you could reach default. So there's a lot of consequences with that. Missing payments can negatively impact your credit score, which makes it difficult to get any sort of loan or credit product. Also, if you're in default, the entire loan balance could be due immediately. You could be charged fees and your tax refund could be withheld. So there are a couple ways to get out of default, like changing your repayment plan or applying for a deferment or forbearance, which you will learn what the difference between those two are in this section. The last topic of this module goes over two forgiveness programs, the teacher loan forgiveness and the public service loan forgiveness. Under the public service loan forgiveness program, you could be eligible to have your remaining loan balance forgiven after you have made 120 qualifying monthly payments. So you'll learn all about the requirements if you would be eligible kind of once you graduate, and it depends on the employer, so it'll go over all of those requirements. The next page will be a summary of what you learned, and you'll just need to select continue at the bottom, and then you will have completed your first requirement. So that will be completed. So the next one, you will only have your last one, which is signing your master promissory note or MPN. So for that, you'll want to go ahead and navigate back to the complete aid process up at the top of your screen, and then go to complete master promissory note, MPN. So similar to the entrance counseling, there are a couple options to select kind of depending on your grade level. So if you are an incoming freshman, you'll want to select I'm an undergraduate student, but there are options for graduate and professional students, and then also parent and graduate plus loans are required to complete a master promissory note as well. But go ahead and click start to continue. So the first part of the master promissory note will be adding information. So that will ask for your email, your phone number, your driver's license number, and a permanent address. You'll also need to add Iowa State as a school to receive the notification you completed this step. Next, you'll need to add two references. One of those should be a parent or legal guardian. The two references do need to have different addresses. So if you could do one a parent and then the other you could do another relative like a grandparent, aunt, uncle, just so that they have a different address. So keep in mind these references would only be contacted if the student stops paying back their loans and the servicer can't get in touch with them. So that's why it's always important to make your payments once you are required to, and then make sure to keep your contact information up to date with your servicer. Okay, the next several pages contain information you must read through. So it is the agreement that the information you provided is correct. It goes over loan terms and what the loans mean. It summarizes how the interest rate works, how repayment works, if you have issues paying back the loan, what you should be doing, and how long your grace period is. It also goes over your annual loan limits, so how much you can take out each year based on your grade level and dependency status. So for the first year, incoming freshmen would be eligible for $5,500, second year, $6,500, and then their junior and senior year, $7,500. So there are several pages that you'll have to read through. There's a lot of text. It might look a little scary. Much of the information covered in this is also covered in entrance counseling, but it is important to take your time and actually read through each page. So after reading through the agreement, make sure to review the summary page and make any changes needed. You will then be able to check the box which certifies that you have read, understand, and agree to the terms and conditions of the MPN. You will then type your name and select continue to sign. After signing, you are now done with both of your required steps for federal loans. If you have accepted your loans in Access Plus, your loans will be ready to disperse the week before fall classes begin. So just as a reminder for kind of how disbursement of financial aid funds works, so all of your financial aid, including grants, scholarships, and loans, will be applied to your U-bill first, typically the Tuesday night before classes start. If there are funds remaining after your financial aid pays your U-bill in full, you'd be sent a refund. So make sure you have signed up for direct deposit just so those funds can be applied to your bank account. So it's important to check your U-bill on Access Plus every month just to see if there are any charges that need to be paid too. Okay, so we do have one more webinar coming up on August 8th that will go over financial literacy services that our office has available. Like all the webinars, it will be recorded and posted on our YouTube channel for you to go back and watch. You can use this QR code to register today, just so you have that on your calendar. Okay, so that concludes the entrance counseling and master promissory note overview. Before we go, I am going to kind of look at the chat just to see if anyone has joined, if there are any questions posted there. So give me a moment to review that. Okay, looks like which login you use on the FAFSA site. So the student, it is the student's loan, their federal direct loan. So the student will need to log in with their FSA ID, so their username and password. If the parent is completing a master promissory note for like a Parent Plus loan, that's when the parent would log in with their username and password. So good question. I think that's the only question that I see in the chat. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to go ahead and add that now. Otherwise, thank you all for joining. Like I said, this will be also posted on our website too, so you can kind of review that. And also, if you do want to meet with an advisor one-on-one, we do offer walk-in advising and also in-person virtual advising too. You can always call us to set up an appointment or send us an email. With that, I will go ahead and conclude the presentation. Thanks all for joining. Have a great rest of your day.